Hey everyone, I'm John. I'm up in Maine this week. We have no people around, just me and my dog. This is our house that we have up here. We've been doing some upgrades to it. My parents built this thing 20 years ago. My dad installed this beautiful Brazilian cherry floor, and he stained it off with, or he finished it with some Duraseal stain slash poly combo. And floor's in great shape. We didn't want to pull it up, but we kind of wanted to do something a little lighter. So been experimenting around with a couple different ideas, but the first thing we need to do is get this thing ready for sanding and sanded. And that's gonna be a bit of a chore. I don't really know how well it's gonna go up. I've got a sander with a lot of very harsh grit. So hopefully it won't be too hard, but it's like 500 square feet, and I'm gonna try to do it as cleanly as possible. So more in a bit. 500 square feet of Brazilian cherry. Floor's in pretty good shape. You can see we have some sun damage here from where carpets were. A lot of scratches if you get close, tied in. So, you know, basically it's pretty good looking floor. One thing I wanted to do though was lighten it. My wife would kind of light her floor. I know this was very popular 20 years ago, but kind of like to lighten it up. And so I've been experimenting around with different bleach and stain options. You can see here's kind of my experimental boards. I went ahead and tried to use Bona Red Out, some stains, some homemade bleaching concepts and that kind of thing. And I went ahead, and this is kind of what I gleamed into is what I'm after. Hang on, I'm gonna pause this for a sec. I'm gonna go ahead and flip the camera around. Like I said, I don't know how to do that. That's a bummer. Anyway, there's gotta be a way to do that in there. What's that? Hey, I'm back. Again, another view of the floor. I finally realized how I had to deal with this camera. This is brand new to me. That's Chewy over there. He's gonna help me out this week. And so basically what I'm trying to do again, like we mentioned, lighten this floor up. I'm gonna try the kind of the bleaching option that uses the calcium chloride, I believe it is. The lye approach with the pool non-chlorine oxidizer, which is about a 27% hydrogen peroxide solution. But I'll get more into that when we get to that point. I still have a lot of sanding to do. But anyway, my goal is this board right here. Here's my experimentations, dyes and stains. And so if you look, that middle piece right there, that is what I'm shooting for. This is basically gone through the bleaching process, and then I take some Duraseal antique white stain, kind of push it into the, you know, the grain, get that off after a few minutes, and then we'll go ahead and finish it with the Bona HD poly kind of two-part flooring. That's the plan. Now this is going to take a few days. Right now I've got to get this thing sanded. I've got to remove all the trim. Got to tape off a few areas. Rented a sander here. I've got I don't know, 40 pieces of pretty heavy-duty grit. I'm hoping this finish comes off fairly easily, being that it was a stain poly combo and the fact that it is 20 years old. So anyway, right now I'm going to go ahead and do some taping, remove all the trim, and then we'll start the sanding. I also have to prepare a lot of this for dust, or my wife will kill me. Okay, John here up in Maine. As I mentioned earlier, we've got the trim removed. I'm going to tape off a few things now, and then we're going to get to sanding. Over the course of the week, we're going to get this floor sanded down, cleaned up, repaired if we need to, and then we're going to go about the bleaching process with the kind of the homemade do-it-yourselfer version of lye and non-chlorine pool oxidizer. 30% or 27% hydrogen peroxide. So here we are. Trim's gone. That's about as close as I can get to the walls. I still will have to work carefully around like this fireplace base. Got some furniture, some built-ins I couldn't move, which I've done some dust work on. We have a tile floor over here, which we're not too concerned about, probably pretty durable. I don't think the lye will impact that very much. And here in the kitchen, that's actually linoleum floor. Again, that'll end up being gone someday. Probably the biggest issue I have is the flooring that's under this kitchen cabinet bar peninsula thing. I'm simply not going to lift that up to do it under there. So in the event that ends up going, I'm gonna have to tie that into whatever I accomplish on this floor this week, but deal with that later. But again, 500 square feet, Brazilian cherry, installed 20 years ago. And I'm just hoping when we start sanding that this finish comes off with this orbital sander I just rented. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, so we're gonna get started sanding. It's about 10:30. Got 20 grit in this rented orbital sander. And what I'm gonna try to do is see how much I can get done in half an hour. Since I have 500 square feet, that'll give you some idea of how long this job is gonna take. And I'm crossing my fingers that it comes off easy. Okay, so I just spent 20 minutes, or about half an hour, sanding with 20 grit. It looks like I probably, came in 5 or 6 feet. But this orbital sander, there's no dust collection. So you do get a big buildup of sawdust as you do it. So it's kind of hard to see what's going on. And the thing is a bit of a rodeo to handle. I don't have a lot of experience on that. But anyway, some of it looks pretty good, but you can still see there is a lot of finish. For instance, there was a board that little lower than all the rest. So I'm gonna have to get it. That edges are hard with this thing. I mean, it's really bucks around quite a bit and damaging a lot of my sheetrock there on the edge. It will be covered by trim, but still, it's a little harder to get to the edge than I thought. So as you can see, I'm probably gonna have to replace out my 20 grit just because it's pretty hammered, and keep going at it. So you can see there, it's still got something left, but not quite as edgy as it was before. So in the area where I had some, you see where the carpet, where the sun affected the floor over the last 20 years, where the carpet was, that's still there. So that'll all have to continue to be sanded. So I don't know, got quite a bit done in 30 minutes, but still got a ways to go. Okay, so I just spent a little more than an hour and been through 2 pads of 20 grit with this square orbital sander. Working on this Brazilian cherry, it definitely, it's coming off pretty good. A drum sander would have been probably a lot faster, but I just didn't really want to lose that much material, so I'm just going to kind of go through this fairly easily. You can see with the reflection there where there's finish that I have not gotten. This area here, I've been kind of over twice. It's looking pretty good. We still can see some of the sun, some of the fading that's happened over time because with carpets and things, but definitely needs a lot more sanding and kind of getting the high edges off. But for the most part, I've kind of, like I say, I've been through 2 of my sheets of 20 grit. I'm gonna just kind of go over this again, kind of like mowing the lawn, and just keep working down and see what I can do. Here's the part that I have yet to do, but I've probably covered about half the room. Okay, folks, a little update on the old floor project. As most of you, as you may know, I rented an orbital sander, and it was great, it's been working okay, but the floor was in pretty rough shape, and I just couldn't make it happen. So here's kind of what we got in here. Left a lot of finish, really worked it with 20 grit, just wasn't having it. So I went out and just rented a drum sander. There's a whole bunch of guys on there. People on there probably saying you should have gotten a drum sander to begin with, and you were right. But drum sander's gonna do great, but what I'm really glad I have is the orbital to kind of finish it up. Once that's done, work around the edges and things like that. So anyway, still at it. Chewy's getting a little bored, but anyway, we're having fun. All right, so I've been sanding with a orbital sander and a drum sander for the last kind of day, or all day yesterday. And curious to see just how far I have to get. There are remnants of finish inside, kind of some of the more concave shaped boards, really tough to get out with the machines. Could go through with a handheld orbital disc sander, but man, that's a lot of work. So I'm testing here. We're doing the bleach, the calcium hydroxide, the lye, and hydrogen peroxide approach. And what I just did here, I mixed up a small bundle of the lye, put my goggles on, mixed it up, and I laid it down across a series of boards on the floor. Supposed to give it 15 to 30 minutes to kind of settle in and dry. And then we'll go over it with the hydrogen peroxide solution, and we'll see what we get. One reason I picked this spot is that I know for a fact a couch goes right here. So if it looks terrible, chew, stay up, stay up, come on. If it looks terrible, then I know it'll be covered. So this is a little test, and Chewy just can't wait till we finish this project so we can go more walks. Anyway, let you know how it goes. On our little experiment here, I waited 20 minutes, 25 minutes. The stuff is pretty well settled in, the calcium hydroxide lye mixture. And then I hit it with the 27% hydrogen peroxide liquid I got from the pool supplier. And boy, there was an immediate reaction. I don't know what's happening under all the foam, but it'll be interesting to see. Give it another maybe half hour and see what's there. So, sanded floor day 2. One thing I've discovered is my mom had some notoriously unhousebroken cats. And what they had done over the years is found little spots in this under the furniture. There was a desk over here, there was a couch here, and this one particular cat would go into the, do its business under the couch, and that went on for a while. Here's another spot over here. What I'm gonna try to do is a little experiment like I did before. I just laid down, I took a few boards and I laid down the lye, diluted lye solution, and let that sit for about 25-30 minutes. That little experiment I did this morning, where I laid it down, I kind of sanded over it, but yeah, I did the test. I did the lye, the hydrogen peroxide. As you can see on this row of about 5 boards. Yeah, you yellowed them up. Like I say, I've sanded over it. Definitely getting a response. So one thing I wanted to see is if maybe I should lower my solution levels, reduce the amount of lye in the liquid to a different ratio. But I'm going to give it one more shot here on this random set of boards. I'll go ahead and see what happens to that. But I will say when the hydrogen peroxide goes on, there is a real reaction. And I think that's the best time to have a lot of windows open, doors, and some ventilation. And keep my dog out of here for sure. Anyway, see how it goes. I kind of let the lye solution sit on the boards for about an hour. I was busy sanding something else. And I just added the hydrogen peroxide solution. You can see the reaction, very quick. I don't really smell anything, but I'm sure there's something bad in here. I took off my gloves, still have my glasses on, but anyway, yeah, definitely a reaction. I think that's what we're after. I'm just gonna let it sit, do some work. In about an hour, I'm gonna go ahead and see how that looks. After 2 days of sanding and floor prep, we're gonna go ahead and do our bleaching process using the lye approach to do it. This is the lye I'm using. This basically works into, if you follow some of the ratios you find online, each one of those will go into about a gallon of distilled water. And so, as you know, it's a reaction. So I've poured it in there, mixed it up. Showing about 70 degrees. The ground is about 36, so yeah, definitely exothermic. I believe that's what it's called. Anyway, I'm gonna let that heat stabilize a little bit more, and we'll go ahead and lay it down. I just laid down the lye solution. Really turns that wood just black. So you really can tell it very easily where you've done it and where you haven't. My only concern now is that I was supposed to use at least a gallon, and I did not use a gallon of the stuff in 500 square feet. So I'm not, I'm not sure if I do another round, or I'm not sure what the best approach is on this, because clearly it's I guess on average it's a thinner than recommended layer. But yeah, so I need to think about that, see how it dries, see if I see particularly thin spots, I'll go ahead and do it. But it went on very quickly. Did the 500 square feet with a simple roller in about 20 minutes. Here's my setup here. As you can see, just one of those big pans. But anyway, yeah, looking definitely dark. And it'll be interesting to see the next step. All right, this is the lye solution. The sodium hydroxide, I believe it is pretty much dry. It's been on here for about an hour. I can finally get into the last place I did. Kind of unique. I'm not sure what yeah. Anyway, gonna give it a go here. I'm about to do the scary part. I'm gonna add the hydrogen peroxide. It's been sitting for about an hour, so it's all dry here. There's the old test case. We're looking here. Before I suit up fully, I'm just going to give an example of the reaction you get when you put this hydrogen peroxide solution onto this floor. Just watch this. I'm going to take a stab along this wall. I'll show you what this does. See it happening? So, yeah, definitely getting a reaction. And that is, whatever's off-gassing here is what makes me the most nervous. I'm gonna do this whole room. Got a kind of a marginal respirator on, but it's gonna be an interesting process here. And I'm a little worried about the whole room being filled with this gas. So anyway, this is my last video. You'll know why, all right? All right, here we go. Here we are. I just put down the coat of hydrogen peroxide. I used about a gallon, just under a gallon for the 500 square feet. But certainly fizzing up, as you can see from the close-up. That's fizzing up. So I did see some kind of discoloration stuff. I'm sure hoping all the colors match from the stuff I did earlier. That may have been a mistake to time it, not always have a wet edge, but we'll see what happens. I'm gonna let this go, dry out. We're gonna go stack some firewood, me and Chewy. And, but otherwise, this was the scary part, because whatever off gas, I don't know what it is. Should have looked into it. But I will say, there's no scent. Not that that means anything, but I don't smell anything. And I got good ventilation here, and all looks good. All right, here's Chewy. I'm good. Everybody's good. This floor dyeing is very difficult, or floor bleaching. It is a blotchy pile of hell. I don't even know how this happens. I gotta figure this out, but I don't know. I'm trying to fix it. I don't know what's gonna happen, but anyway, Chewy and I are fine. This floor might just get painted. Look at this. Whew. I don't know. Brazilian cherries are bare. Right, Chewy? Right. We're good. Miss y'all. Later. Day 4 up in Maine here, working on this floor. Been really contemplating what the next move should be. It clearly is not ready. There's a lot of weird blotching and things like that. Not totally sure where it's from, but what part of the chemical process made that happen. But it is a lot lighter, and there's a few sections that actually look quite good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do the whole process by starting with the lye solution, sodium hydroxide, I believe it is, and let that dry and give it another shot. It's day 4 of this. I really want to get this wrapped up this week, and we'll see how that goes. I'll turn on the big camera. I'm gonna do this, and I'm a lot less nervous than I was yesterday, as I have some idea about the off-gassing, and I seem to have good enough ventilation in here, so no issues there. Hey everybody, I'm day 5 of this project. It has been a bear. I haven't reported much lately because just getting this floor semi-consistent has been so hard. I have definitely some notes to self if I ever choose to do this again, but I don't think I will. So what's happening here on day 5 is I've got it to the point where I just can't sand anymore. I can't bleach anymore. I'm just so I'm just down to getting this thing done. So I've applied some antique white Duraseal stain to it, which was recommended to lighten it up. So I'm gonna let this sit for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna get down on my hands and knees, and I'm going to towel this all off with a rag, kind of let it soak a bit in. It looks really nice. I mean, if you like a white floor, it looks really good, I have to admit, but I need to see what happens if I buff it out a little bit. That's it. So you can see I'm now working the antique stain on this floor. This thing has been probably the hardest do-it-yourself job I've ever done. I'm 62 years old, been DIYing for pretty much since I can ever remember, and this is a tough one. So for reference, what's getting me through is because I have not had time to go to the store and shop, I'm simply looking through the cabinets to find what I can find to drink. And these are leftovers from my son, and son was here with all his friends last summer. So I'm drinking a mix of Mike's Hard Lemonade and Jack Daniels. That's it. So that is what's getting me through here. As you can see, I've just laid down another layer. I'm trying to figure this out, but don't let it sit too long because it dries very quickly. So I'm now gonna get down on my hands and knees, do that 18, I'm gonna do about 24 inches each time all the way across the floor. That's my plan. So anyway, gotta go work that. Hey everybody, John here up in Maine. Day 6 of the floor bleaching. Tell you, it's been the hardest do-it-yourself job I've ever done. The stain at the end, the Duraseal white stain, was definitely a nice touch, but it kind of goes on pretty heavy, which probably is what this floor needed. It did cover up a lot of the blotchiness from the bleaching job, but came out very kind of Euro birch kind of thing, very white. It's weird on this film, but in person, it actually looks okay. So anyway, 6 days. And I'm not even done. This does not include finish. I have to drive home to DC and get myself back up here for a couple days to put the finish on. I just didn't have the time or the energy to do that. That's a big job. So anyway, heading home tomorrow, and been quite an experiment.